Let's move on to second passage. Still you want to go to Canada, Australia, America, USA? Yes. So let's do the second passage as well, right? Passage number 2. Should we try to bring extinct species back to life? See, what's the question? Should we try to bring extinct species? Now, what are extinct species? Dinosaur. How would you feel if dinosaurs come back to life? Like in Jurassic Park, they gave the theme of that. So we understand this passage is all about a discussion whether we should try to bring extinct species back to life or not. Means all the extinct animals, and like we've got woolly mammoth, dinosaur, some other birds and all that. So should we bring them back or not? This is the passage, and we've got A, B, C, D, E, F. Let's go on. Page number 42. Questions 14 to 17. Reading passage 2 has 6 paragraphs, A to F. Which paragraph contains the following information? Now, how many questions? 4. And how many paragraphs? 6. So it means 2 paragraphs are empty. You can use the same technique as we used before. But it's a good idea to consider other questions also. For example, questions 18 to 22, the Woolly Mammoth Revival Project, underline that. So wherever you find information in the passage about Woolly Mammoth Revival Project, it's an animal that looks like elephant. Okay, extinct animal that looks like elephant. So wherever you find this, you should underline it so that you could do that at the same time as well. After that, please come to questions 23 to 26. And you can see it's matching list of people. So come to list of people. Ben Novick, Michael Archer, Beth Shapiro. Wherever you find these words, you must underline them as well, because we've got this matching question also. Now, let's go to paragraph A, right? So we just go through it and we see if there is any question. I'm going to skim through it for you, please. Paragraph A. The passenger pigeon was a legendary species flying in vast numbers across North America. Now come to third line. They are explaining this passenger pigeon. Their migration was once one of nature's greatest spectacles. Is it that? Spectacles. Yeah, like we say. Sadly, the passenger pigeon's existence came to an end on 1st September 1914. Okay? And then they say the last living specimen died at Cincinnati Zoo. It's Schenectady. What do you call American state? Kentucky, yeah, something like that. Zoo. And then they say geneticist Ben Novick. Now underline Ben Novick, rather encircle Ben Novick, because we've got to solve some questions there. Okay, so let's go back, and we've got the last things as well. Please, fifth last line. Basic premise involves using cloning technology to turn the DNA of extinct animals into a fertilized embryo, which is carried by the nearest relative. They talk about DNA and all that. Is that clear? Now let's go to questions. Question number 14. Now read the questions carefully. 14. A reference to how further disappearance of multiple species could be avoided. No, but just underline the things here. In one paragraph, they would say how we can avoid further extinction or disappearance of some species of animals or birds. It was off. Question number 15. Explanation of a way of reproducing an extinct animal using the DNA of only that species. Yes, because they mentioned reproduction using the DNA. So for question number 15, what's the answer? A will be the right answer. 16. Reference to a habitat. Habitat is place of living. Reference to a habitat which has suffered following the extinction of a species. extinction of that species and the habitat suffered a lot. Does this paragraph say anything about it? No. Question number 17. Mention of the exact point at which a particular species became extinct. Mention of the exact point at which a particular species became extinct. On 1st September 1914. Came to an end on 1st September 1914. What is that? Yeah, exactly. So that is question number 17. Mention of the exact point. What is exact point? That is exact date. Right? So 17 is A. Now we are left with two questions. 14 is reference to how further disappearance of a multiple species could be avoided. And 16 is reference to a habitat which has suffered. So please go through paragraph B quickly. I give you a minute for that. And you have to play very safe. Now many paragraphs will have no answer. And keep both questions in mind. Reference to how further disappearance of a multiple species could be avoided, and reference to a habitat which has suffered following the extinction of a species. Do we have any information? Yes or no? Yes. No, leave it. No, we don't have any information on this paragraph, right? I'll tell you why. Move on to paragraph C. Paragraph C. Paragraph C, and just look for reference to how further disappearance of multiple species could be avoided and reference to a habitat which has suffered following the extinction of a species. Go through this paragraph, and by the way, you will find Beth Shapiro. Underline that. We have a question about him. Beth Shapiro. So, anything? Just we've got two questions. Now you're looking for both questions. 16 is reference to a habitat which has suffered following the extinction of a species. It doesn't go there. Now please come to paragraph D for doctor. And you will find a name also. Explains Novak. Found Novak? Encircle Novak. And read from third line carefully. When it comes to breeding, band-tailed pigeons scattered and make maybe 1 or 2 nests per hectare, whereas passenger pigeons were very social and would make 10,000 or more nests in 1 hectare. Since the disappearance of this key species, ecosystem in the eastern US have suffered as the lack of disturbance caused by thousands of passenger pigeons. It's not 14. 14 is reference to how further disappearance. It's 16, habitat, nests and habitat, place of living. Question number 16, reference to a habitat which has suffered following the extinction of a species. And what's that species? Passenger pigeon. Okay? Alright, now we are left with one question only. Question number 14. A reference to how further disappearance of a multiple species could be avoided. Please come to paragraph E. Skim it. Have you found woolly mammoth? You should underline that because we have questions about him. George Church. No, we don't need to read George Church. Okay. Now either paragraph E or paragraph F. Come to paragraph F. Read the first 2 lines and you will find the clue. While the prospect of bringing extinct animals back to life might capture imaginations, it is of course far easier to try to save an existing species which is merely threatened with extinction. And what's the question? A reference to how further disappearance of multiple species could be avoided. For question number 14, what's the answer? F. On your answer sheet now, you will write 14F, and remember these answers should be written exactly the same way. I mean, you cannot say answer is F, A, D, A and I write in any order. Not at all, not here. Okay, 14F, 15A, 16D and 17 also A, right? Okay.